Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Yes, today we are going to go through and talk about what it takes to be a physical media collector. Yes, I have done very many videos now on the channel talking about my experiences of being a physical media collector. As you guys can see behind, I am an avid Blu-ray collector. Movie collector is ultimately my focus on this channel if you're new here. And yeah, collecting has its definite positives and negatives. And if you are interested, I've done separate videos on both of those topics there. But what does it actually take to be a collector nowadays? Well, patience, I think, is one of the biggest things. And let's start there. Patience definitely is what's needed. Being a collector for me is not about just going on eBay and spending, say, £1,000 on somebody's collection. Like, if I sold this collection in bulk, I could sell it, obviously, quite a discounted rate, but also moving this collection to somebody else. That is not a real collection. This collection over here has been built in time and patience. Various different stories. That Star Wars setup there I bought for £6 on Vinted because I found a fantastic deal. Another one here, Chernobyl. I bought this in the Netherlands. So I actually bought this in a store in the Netherlands in person. Everything here has a story. I know where I bought each of these things from. Death on the Nile was actually the last one in HMV with a slipcover. That's why I bought it in Cwmbran. I remember every single one. Darkest Hour there, that one. This was £5 from Asda's. As I say, everything here has a story, and I know where a lot of these came from. And of course, having the patience. I didn't wake up one day and decide I'm just going to buy somebody else's collection on eBay and then just make it my own, and now all of a sudden I'm a collector. No, start from the ground up. Have nothing. Have like a handful of DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever you want to collect, 4Ks. Have a handful of them, and then in time it will just grow and grow and grow and grow, and you will have something like this very, very quick. The other thing that I think you need to really, think about is what you're actually collecting. Things like, of course, all of the horror Halloween slips that I've been getting. I've been aiming for those, and that's what I've been targeting on. And now that I'm starting to trickle off them, I've started to look at the Disney classics and all of that. So have an aim, have an intention. What are you actually looking for? If you're going into CEX, what are you looking for? Maybe you're like me, you just want to be, ultimately I'm primarily a 4K collector, I would say, in terms of I collect everything 4K and I would never get rid of them. Whereas my Blu-rays, I wouldn't say I'm that much of a Blu-ray collector. I like to have a good selection of Blu-rays, but there'll definitely be a time once a year where I'll go through my Blu-rays and cull them and delete and get rid and sell them on because I just don't want them anymore. Whereas I will never do that with my 4K. That's my purpose in terms of why I collect. And also thinking about the things that you want to collect. Do you want to collect all Amarais? Are you a steelbook collector? That is that is definitely something to consider, because there is definitely people out there, there's definite TikToks and people that I watch online that are just steelbook focused and just Amaray focused and whatnot. I'm a bit of both. I like to get my steelbooks for my Marvels, my DC, for the certain collections and all of that. But the odd film here or there, I like to have a special edition if the movie I really enjoyed in the cinema. There's also managing people's expectations and whatnot. Whenever I talk about being a collector, it is like the taboo thing. Now, not many people have Blu-rays, DVDs, and when I'm on a work call over there, my computer screen, basically, the background is my collection. And it always starts conversations like, whoa, what's all that behind you? Is that CDs or vinyls? And I'm like, no, it's movies. And then I grab one up to my other shelf there. Oh, you got a shelf there as well? Yeah, and I've got one there as well. It always sparks a conversation, and all of that. And it's definitely something to continue. If it's your passion, people are very open to it, and they're like, wow, they actually still sell DVDs anymore. I don't see DVDs in Tesco's anymore. Well, yeah, because they only sell them now in select stores rather than like in supermarkets. And it's funny because people think DVDs don't exist anymore because primarily people bought them from supermarket and whatnot. So I guess another thing to consider while being a collector is, being open and honest about certain conversations, especially if you're like me with a work call and behind you would be a unit that people can see, and it does spark definite conversations. Another thing to think about while being a collector is, are you a tech nut as well? That's something that I think is definitely where my whole collection thing started. I wanted to get the bestest TV that I could at the time. I've got a LG C10 120 hertz for all of my 4K video gaming, because I'm a big video game advocate as well, and I wanted to get the best TV for that when the PS5 5 came out. And that sparked then, of course, then at the time, I think I got like a bonus from my job at the time, and I decided to pick up my first ever fully surround sound system in this room, because previously I was kind of using just like a bog standard 5.1 plug into the headphone jack kind of thing. It wasn't like a full-on receiver. But getting the receiver, best decision I ever made. So if you are a tech nut, then getting discs definitely helps. And of course, being that collector, because you can pick up any movie and its chances are it's going to have, you know, all of the stuff that you need, Dolby Atmos as well as Dolby Vision, of course, on certain films. So definitely, you know, having this type of quality gets you the best bit rate, it gets you the best quality. And as I say, if you are a tech nut and you want to get the best out of the investments that you've made, definitely being a collector is a good benefit there as well. And I guess a reason to be a collector in 2025. And then finally, the obvious one is just you own your items. You know, nobody can come into my house and take the things from me. So, you know, being a collector, you know, you got to be prepared, of course, because when you own the items, you've got to have the space, you've got to invest in good, you know, storage for it, making it nice in the house, but also, you know, protecting it so it doesn't get like mold and damaged and whatnot. It's not very different to having like all of your movies saved on, for instance, your iTunes account. It just lives on your iPad or in the cloud even, and it's very much just like in a pre-packaged thing, like on our phones and whatnot. So, you know, being prepared and having a big space for it, making sure it's well insulated, well, you know, looked after, that is a factor of what it takes to be a collector, because you do need to make sure you have a good environment for your collection to stand the test of time. So there is some tips there of what it takes, I think, to be a collector. There is definite pros to it. I absolutely love it. And as I said, there's definite negatives to it as well. And I've done entire videos on those, as I said at the beginning of the video. So if you are interested in wanting to delve a little bit deeper in terms of pros and cons to actually collecting, you can head over there and watch those videos. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. And if you do like what you see, there's a massive QR code there on the screen. You can take out your phone, scan the QR code and subscribe to the channel there, and then it's super easy and it helps out the channel a lot. As I say though, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and of course, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.